finale is finally here. Stranger Things is coming to a close. What a run, what an era. I remember when the first season came out and the word of mouth just growing and growing, and with each season more people coming into the fandom, and it has just been such a great time. Very, very excited to see how they want to finish off the series. I will be doing a watch party for all of the episodes, so stay tuned for that announcement, and I'm excited to talk about the theories I have. I'll briefly go over a theory I have here, but that will be a whole other video that will come out on Monday, so stay tuned for that. We're just breaking down the first 5 minutes, what exactly happened and all of that. So let's get into it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We're on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Follow us wherever you can if you want on Letterboxd. I post all of my movies that I've watched. So far it's over 100 this year of new releases, and also on our other pages like TikTok and Instagram. But let's get on to what exactly they showcased here. This is very Will heavy. It is pretty much a series of shots that showcase Will's 6th day in the Upside Down back in season 1. And I really did love this clip here because we don't really get much of what exactly happened to Will in the Upside Down, that is until now. We don't really get much of the Upside Down in this series either, but apparently in season 5 we're going to know everything. And everything that has happened that we didn't really have the full answers to, we're going to get the full answers. So this pretty much showcases Will in his fort where he has been stationed this whole time. Will's castle, and we see that he is trying to keep himself calm. He's there singing, he's there just trying to make it through until he is saved. But then, of course, like in Stranger Things fashion, things get really bad fast. A Demogorgon appeared, and I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching this headphones on full blast, I got jump scared bad. Demogorgon is one of the scariest creature designs, no doubt about it. If you ever play Dead by Daylight, you know you don't want to go up against a Demogorgon. But nonetheless, we see the chase ensue, and I gotta give it to Will. He pulled out the gun, he climbed up the tree, he was trying to get away from that Demogorgon. And I thought he was, but ultimately the Demogorgon was able to get him because at the end of the day, Will is just a child here. So he didn't really stand a chance. And I thought it was gonna be all over, but of course it's not because we know Will survives. But I was just expecting the worst for Will. But we see that the Demogorgon eventually takes Will, and I thought this was one of the scariest things in the whole 5 minutes, is that the Demogorgons can listen to orders. Up until this point, I always thought they were just like these wild type of animals in the Upside Down, but it seems that they are more than just that. They are foot soldiers for Vecna, who then appears and has Will strapped up, and Will is knocked unconscious up until this point because Will fell down a tree, and that's how the Demogorgon was able to retrieve him. So he doesn't see Vecna. So this explains why Will doesn't really recognize Vecna in the previous season. But we see that Vecna then uses Will to sort of inject him with something, with a tentacle of his, and says him and Will are going to do beautiful things together. And then we see that the clip just ends. So what does this mean? So I really do think that this explains the whole Mind Flayer thing and Will being a spy of sorts. I think Vecna wanted Will to get out of the Upside Down up until this point. He just needed to get to him first and sort of lay the groundwork and plant the seed, if you will, into Will. Then he could use him when he's in the real world as a sort of like soldier of sorts, but like a sleeper agent, if you will. So Will in this case is being used by Vecna for whatever it is, right? Maybe Vecna's using him to listen in. Maybe Vecna can see what Will sees. I think that's what Vecna was always planning from the beginning. He needed somebody on the outside in order to be able to hatch his master plan that he probably had from season 4 and into season 5. And Will was the best one to do it. Maybe he was able to tap into Will's mind and saw that it was warped because of how Will was feeling about his friends and all of that. And made Will an easy target, right? He targets the easiest one, and Will was that. And I think that in this next season, Will is going to be key. I think he has a connection to Vecna now because Vecna obviously has to give part of himself, I feel, to be in Will. And maybe Will's able to use that in season 5 against Vecna. But I'll talk more about that in my theory videos coming this week. But I thought this clip was great because it really showcases and puts the puzzle pieces together of things we didn't know. Because this clip really goes well with the clip of Eleven talking or trying to communicate and find where Will is in the Upside Down while she's in that bathtub. It seems that that takes place right before this scene because the whole thing in the bathtub gets disrupted, and up until now we didn't know why, but now we know that's because when Will gets confronted by the Demogorgon. So that's what pretty much shook up this whole like vision or tapping into that 11 was trying to do with Will up until this point. So I'm definitely excited to see what we're going to see more of that we didn't know from previous seasons, because I think that this season is going to be putting all of those missing puzzle pieces together, and I cannot wait to check it out. But stay tuned for my theory video next week where we're going to discuss all of that. And also, I'll probably be doing the schedule on how I'm going to be doing the watch parties. If you want to join in on those, it'd be definitely fun. We'll have the live stream and everything in the chat going so we can all like react at the same time to everything. By the way, I need to tell y'all, you have to have your own Netflix account. I'm not going to be able to like put the episode up for you to watch because YouTube would just take that down without hesitation. Netflix already gets pissed when you use little clips. That's why I use a lot of pictures with Netflix. So you have to have your own Netflix account. We'll try to do a timer and time it. And if you join a little bit later, then you can just like time it to the timer at the bottom. That way you can just start the episode with me. But I think it'd be a ton of fun. We did it with season 4, like I said, when it first premiered. And I was super excited. We were watching it like at 2 a.m. and I watched most of the episodes, so we didn't go to sleep till like 8 or 9 a.m. It was crazy. But now that we have 1 or 2 episodes out at a time, I think it's gonna be better. So maybe it goes from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. We'll get the Eggo waffles and all of that cooked up and just have a pretty fun time. It'll be fun. So I'm excited to do that with all of you, and I will be doing at least maybe 1 or 2 videos per week on Stranger Things, especially more once the episodes are out. So cannot wait to get into it all with you. As always, that's going to do it for me on the road to 50,000 subscribers. Let's get to it. We'll call this series something, but I'll have the name for it on the theory video, so stay tuned for that next week. But drop below your thoughts and opinions on the clip. What do you think is happening here? Do you think that Will truly is Vecna's spy? And what does that mean for Will now? Like I said, I think Will is the key to defeating Vecna, but I'll get into that in the theory video on Monday. As always, that's going to do it for me. Stay safe, stay positive.
Long last, we can begin.